Do I look like a gardener to you? I am a better, I am not a gardener. Hedging is for gardens. How does your garden grow?
With plus money.
With plus money. Hedging is for gardens.
Welcome in everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It is Tuesday, the 10th of February. You're with Steve Wiss and Nigel Seeley. Nigel, good to see you. Do you prefer midweek or weekend Premier League rounds?
Well, it depends on the. Good morning, everybody. At this season, I don't really like many of them, but at this moment in time, I think I prefer the midweek. Actually, I'm looking forward to the matches tonight because I think there's going to be some really, really good action and some decent games of football to be watched. And there's a little bit of a feel-good factor around the Premier League after that crazy match at the weekend, the last match we saw on that Sunday match between Liverpool and Manchester City. So I'm hoping for more of the same tonight. I would say probably the midweek matches rather than the matches on the Saturday. But it's been an indifferent season, a funny season. Some of the matches have been a bit boring. People are saying the league's a bit boring, but that Liverpool-Manchester City game was great for the PR of the Premier League, and I've got a feeling tonight might replicate some of that action as well. This midweek card looks good for a lot of entertaining matches.
Yeah, it's a league which has been been subjected to more sort of boring talk recently, especially how Arsenal play. But that Sunday match, certainly the second half, it really kicked off, like you said, properly. I want to welcome everyone into chat. Lots to discuss today. We've got Premier League matches. We've got SPL, a crucial match north of the border. A little bit of Italian Cup as well. And, of course, English Championship matches are on the card. Welcome in Leslie Mack. He says Chelsea and Birmingham to score first on a parlay. Ming Chung, good to have you back as well. Interested in your thoughts on the Newcastle move. Absolutely, we'll be talking about that one. Father Brian's got his tail between his legs from the weekend still. John Tate, good to see you. Rick Haley, thanks for the tip yesterday. We had a really good show yesterday. Everything hit apart from one match in the Atlanta one. Byron, Steve, Mike, all of you guys, great to see you. Charlie DeLucci, Zorba the Geek, special EDD picks. Nice to see you in chat as well. Mr. Gargoyle as well. Donny O'Marlin has got off to a great start. Of course, at Roma, he was on the score sheet again yesterday. And we had the Daily Double winner yesterday. How about that, Nigel? Plus 215 winner for Jack Wright. And also the Daily Double hit on Betting Weekly Live PM. 5 out of 6 winners for them now. It's been a great run, actually, for the Daily Double. So hopefully we can continue that one today. Congrats to Jack on that one. Mindy says, is this a flat spot for teams playing on short turnarounds? Will the goals go down?
I'm not so sure about that. I think they're perfect matches. So if it was a boxing match, the ideal match for each other, some of these matches, this midweek card. Weather's not good, though, in London. So I don't know if that's a bit of rain around, a bit of wind. So there might be a bit of a difference. But there was a bit of rain around, a bit of wind at Anfield on Saturday, and that we saw a crazy match.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure about the weather anymore after the Bundesliga nightmare at the start of January. Yeah, Atalanta yesterday, that was the one match that we did let us down by basically conceding a backdoor cover. But in terms of big wagers yesterday, not the biggest day on the sportsbook, but Villarreal live on the money line. Someone grabbed them at minus 114, $10,000 play, ended up winning 4-1. So that was a really good grab there in play. Notable long odds winners. I don't really know what happened here in the tennis, Nigel. Carolina Pliskova, someone grabbed her live at 30-1.
She beat Anisimova. Yeah. It was retired. She got retired. Anisimova pulled out. So that Bet Rivers client was quite lucky because they honour the bets after the first set. We play a big, massive day of shocks today in women's tennis as well. Huge amount of shocks. So any underdog bettors have had a brilliant day.
Yeah. Someone also grabbed Pliskova at 9-1 on the money line in play, $500 play there. And on the soccer field, someone did bet on the Porto Sporting Lisbon draw at 16-1. That must have been very late because Sporting equalised in the 103rd minute, I do believe. So always some big in-play prices to get your teeth stuck into. And we've got plenty of matches to get stuck into today. We're going to do the Premier League soon. But before that, we don't often talk about SPL on this live show, but there's a huge match in Scotland today is the Edinburgh Derby between Hearts and Hibs. Now, Hearts are the favourites, the league leaders at -127, Hibs plus 350, the tie plus 235. These two sides absolutely hate each other. Hearts, Nigel, how are you feeling about your Hearts' futures at the moment? They did lose last week against St Mirren in the midweek card, although, again, a red card very much impacting the game. Hearts at -127 today. Is that a play or a fade?
Well, I think it's whether I bet with my heart or my head. I suppose that's the way you could have answered this question. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar. The reason why we're going with this, and a lot of you may be aware, a lot of you may not be aware. We used to do a show called the Betting Weekly Dojo with myself and Neil Channing, a professional gambler, and we highlighted Hearts as a future bet on the start of the season at very big prices: 33-1, 28-1, 25, 16, 14, 12, and it's all one of these things that every time I had a bet and I had some money in an account, I just put $50 on them and $50 on Hearts and $50 on Hearts. And it's built up to a substantial payday now for me if Hearts would win it. I'm slightly worried about them. I'm slightly worried about their indiscipline at this moment in time. Lots of unwanted suspensions at this moment in time on a small squad. And obviously they're without their top striker for the rest of the season as well, which is a massive blow, Shankland. But they seem nervy. They seem nervy to me. St Mirren are a side that have beaten them twice. They're a very physical side, and Hearts don't like the physicality. The reason why we bet Hearts was because Tony Bloom, who owns Brighton Football Club, had a majority shareholder in Hearts, and his analytics was what we thought would get to this stage of the season when the transfer window opened up. He would find players and highlight players, which he has done, that their analytical system would be better than the approach to Rangers and Celtic at this moment in time in the season. But unfortunately, suspensions and injuries could cost us here. Just to put this into some kind of concept, in the last 6 matches of Hearts football matches this season, there has been 6 sending offs in 6 matches, which is, you do not want ill discipline. It's exactly what happened to Arsenal at the end of last season when they were going for the title. Suddenly they were giving stupid red cards away and they lost the title. So that is my major concern, because I think their full squad would have a great would win this. They're up against Hibs, who beat them early in the season 3-2 in this fixture just before Christmas, I believe it was. I watched that match. It was just after Christmas. I think it was just between Christmas and the New Year. It was a brilliant match, and Hearts fought back. But if it went on for another 5 minutes, Hearts would have won that match. They didn't win it, but I do think they'll edge it tonight. I got a feeling they'll edge it tonight. They'll keep the pressure on Celtic and Rangers. Whether they can go all the way and win the title, that's they're the unfashionable side trying to do the unthinkable. The market is still keen on Celtic, which I still think is wrong, but I think they'll probably edge it tonight. But I'll be probably looking for the unders, because this is nervy. The pressure is on here. As Sir Alex Ferguson famously said, with Manchester United, we're going for the title against Newcastle. It's squeaky bum time, and it's certainly squeaky bum time for Hearts and their supporters. And I think this is a huge, huge derby. Hibs will be fired up to stop their arch rivals from winning the title. I think they'll have enough about him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 7 red cards or more in 7 matches here. This will be a very, very feisty affair. This is the definition of the word feisty affair. But I think Hearts might edge it and gain revenge. But there's a lot of bad weather around, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Obviously, there's a lot of wind and rain in Scotland, whatever time of the year. But with this game here, I think I'll be looking towards under 2.5 goals. But I'm hoping more than anything that Hearts edge it. So, yep, good luck us. Hopefully we can do it. But I think it's going to be nervy.
In terms of the over-under money for the game, only 64% of the money's on the over. So that would, I think, kind of back you up there on the under talk, Nigel, because that is not particularly strong market support. 89% of the money on the money line is on Hearts, though, and 94% of the tickets are on Hearts as well. John Tate came up with an interesting sort of take in terms of the card. He's going to look at to the second half of cards in this game. We could get a second half really kicking off, actually. And it's the sort of game, I mentioned it yesterday with Porto Sporting. The danger of betting on this game is someone could get reduced to 10 men at any point, and we wouldn't be surprised.
I also think, that Hearts game as well, being such a big match, this is a huge match. It's a brilliant title race up in Scotland. 3 teams are going to go all the way down to the wire, which is what you want in any league in European football. And the Scottish League has been the most uncompetitive league probably in Europe for years. I think the first half is a tie could be some kind of way of looking at it. I think this is going to be, they're going to play a lot of respect. Neither side will want to lose. And I think that, if you can get on the half-time mark, it's first half to be a tie, that would be another angle that I'll be looking at. I mean, it's plus 125 with Bet Rivers. I think that's a decent price because if it's 0-0 and a bit of rain and, not really many shots, lots of possession in their own half, that line will drop very quickly. But this is going to be tight, very tight. And I'm hoping more than anything, I'm not going to have a bet on the match because there's so much riding on it, but I'm hoping more than anything that Hearts can get a win in what is one of their most difficult fixtures remaining of the season.
Half-time tie is plus 125 with Bet Rivers. So for those interested in that one, then just looking what the 0-0 tie at half-time is, plus 195 for 0-0 at half-time. But it's the sort of game actually where if it was 1-1 at half-time, you wouldn't be too surprised either. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, good luck, Nigel. I really hope. I think everyone apart from Hibs fans, Rangers fans, and Celtic fans want Hearts to win the SPL. It'd be really good for the league.
Anyone basically outside of Scotland, right? Anybody who's a Hearts fan, obviously, any other team wants them to win. But I think it's the mathematical reasoning was for there, but I think they're going to cost themselves with their real discipline, and that's a difficult thing to take because I think we've got the right angle. But lot of football to be played, and Rangers said we've got to play each other as well. So, as Kevin Keegan famously said, I'd love it if we won this.
Yeah, that was one of the most famous rants of all time. I would love it indeed. And I tell you what, you folks out there have been loving the February fun bet, which has been offered out by Bet Rivers and the Betting Weekly team. Betting Weekly live bonus bet. Don't forget about this one. Tennis, soccer, basketball, whatever your sport you're following right now, bet on it with a February fun bet. Betting Weekly, Bet Rivers have teamed up, like I said, to give you a $10 bonus bet. And you enter the code BW201. That's BW201. And the offer expires on February the 15th. You must be 21 and eligible players only. But do make the most of that fun bet. I know a lot of you have already. Loads of interest in that fun bet. If you've not got involved, then do it before the 15th of February. There's loads of matches in the Premier League today, as I mentioned beforehand. Just a quick look at the futures before we go into the matches. Arsenal, as a reminder, minus 500 to win the Premier League. Man City plus 400. Man United now the third favourites to win the Premier League and minus 182 for the top four. It's going to be.
I love it how John puts every team in the Premier League. I can't imagine many people betting Burnley at fourth.
I think Wolves technically can't win it now. Yeah, mathematically, Wolves cannot win it.
We could probably get down to Liverpool really on one graphic and top four down to say Brentford. I think it'd be quite save you a bit of work next time, John.
But yeah, we're going to start with a match which doesn't really involve any teams at the top or the bottom of the table. Everton against Bournemouth here on Merseyside. Everton are the slight favourites, plus 143. Bet Rivers, Bournemouth plus 195, and the tie is plus 235. Everton, for me, Nigel, are one of those teams who I think they've been a bit lucky recently. They don't play the full 90 minutes very well, but they always have spells in the game, especially second half, where they just dominate sides. So I find them really tricky, actually, Everton at the moment, I must say. Of all the matches tonight, this felt like a no bet to me. Of course, you can check out the Premier League show with yourself, Jack and Dan. I don't know if you've got any extra thoughts on this fixture at the Hill Dickinson Stadium.
Well, there hasn't been a lot of money around on this match, really. And the only thing that's probably been nibbled at in the market is the draw. And that doesn't surprise me. 7 draws in the last 12 matches for Bournemouth, 6 draws in the last 9 for Everton. So that is not, these two are the draw specialists in the Premier League. And there is nothing really much between the two sides. And I can understand that sort of slight market move because there's some easiness in the market towards Everton, some easiness in the market towards Bournemouth. Everton, I've got majority of their team, well, all their team back now, apart from Jack Grealish, who's out for the season. But, they've got Dewsbury Hall back, scoring the players back from the AFCON as well, who they missed greatly. And under David Moyes, they are the under 2.5 goal specialists. 9 of their last 11 matches have cashed under 2.5 goals. But surprisingly, 6 of their last 7 has seen both teams to score yes, despite the under 2.5 goals cashing. So if you work out the logic of that there's a lot of draws, there's a lot of under 2.5 goals. Both teams have scores them in cash as well. By just the process of elimination, you come up to 1-1 as a nice prop here. I'm a little bit Bournemouth are a side that I can't read either of these two very well. I think they're a very hard read for most people in this season. Bournemouth are just doing unbelievably well after sending Semenyo, and obviously what they did at the start of the season using basically their whole of their defence. They keep grounding out results. They're unbeaten in 6 matches since Semenyo's gone. You know, they beat Tottenham when it was his last kick of the game. Then they went to Newcastle, drew 3-3, went to Wolves, beat Liverpool, drew with Aston Villa. But the process has always been goals. There's been goals in all their matches this season, both home and away. And this one here is a sort of a classic counter of the under 2.5 goal side in Everton against the over 2.5 goals in Bournemouth. But both teams to score in these two sides comes in regular. So both teams to score, yes, it's minus 175 with Bet Rivers, but I think that could be a decent theme for tonight's matches. So, you know, if you're looking at putting in the parlay, both teams to score, yes, in all 4, I think that could happen here. But particularly on this match, I am looking at the draw. I think it's the most likely result of all 3 results. And so many occasions when it's the most likely result, it's the biggest price. It's the biggest price tonight at plus 235. It opened up at plus 250. I do think that could be a little bit of value. And 1-1, it's short, it's plus 425, but just looking at the way these two sides are, it brings in the under 2.5. It brings in the both teams to score angle and the draw, which is if you bet the draw blind in Everton and Bournemouth matches and Brighton matches this season, you'd be well in front. So looking towards a draw, very, very difficult match. Don't think anything on the team news will change any sort of bet here. I don't think there's any significant misses for any team or any player that's going to make a big difference. I think on a night of matches, which are decent matches, this is the most difficult one to call in terms of how it's going to go, because it wouldn't surprise me to be a 0-0 draw or a 3-3 draw, but the draw definitely is on my radar.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough game. I'm not interested in betting on the over-under line or the money line here. Player prop that I am interested in is Dewsbury Hall to score or assist, plus 175. I think he's the best player in this Everton team right now. Technically, by far the best player. Everything goes through him. He's a massive dual threat. You know, if it wasn't for the case of England having so many strong midfielders, I think he'd be on the radar for the World Cup. But it's a really, really tough ask for him to get into that group of players.
He came back and scored, didn't he? Came back and scored at the weekend. He's, Dan Roebuck's staying there about questions about how many Everton players get into the Bournemouth side. But I think Pickford does, Braithwaite does, Dewsbury Hall does. The kid who went to the AFCON, the midfielder,
NDI would be getting in.
He'd get in the side. So there's 4, and possibly one other. I think it's a very, very evenly split side between the two of these teams. And I think I just genuinely believe that Bournemouth are doing incredible things, but the Semenyo blow has to take some kind of effect, unless their recruitment is sensational. Their manager is great and their recruitment is very, very good. But I got a feeling here I couldn't trust either. So sitting firmly on the fence here with the draw, with the tie.
Yeah, we've got an interesting split of betting money and tickets here for this game, actually. 59% of the tickets are on Bournemouth, but 79% of the money's on Everton. So a split there. 86% of the over-under money's on the over. Both teams are unbeaten in their last 5. The tie may well be the angle to go down, like you said there. I mean, I get where Dan's kind of coming from with Bournemouth, because Everton, I mean, I just remember Everton-Leeds. We should have had the game wrapped up by half-time. Fulham should have had the game wrapped up against them by half-time. But David Moyes keeps making these in-game changes really well. I think he's a bit underrated like that, actually, David Moyes. A lot of West Ham fans would disagree with me about that. Probably a few Everton fans as well. But I think Moyes is one of the best managers in play, making adjustments. And at some point, Everton will definitely have periods in the game where they're really good. So, yeah, I'm staying away. 1-1 draw looks good. I do like that Dewsbury Hall prop. And someone mentioned Ryan, a new player to keep an eye on here. This is a Bournemouth player who scored at the weekend. He could be one to keep an eye on. Ryan. I don't know what he's officially listed. Ryan Victor is his official name on Bet Rivers. He's actually plus 210 to score or assist, a player to keep an eye out for in the next few weeks. Probably a more high-profile fixture at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea versus Leeds. Chelsea minus 200 favourites. Tie plus 340. Leeds at plus 540, over 2.5 goals is minus 175. Cole Palmer, is he back in form, Nigel? Hat-trick against Wolves. Might be a good time to rest him, I reckon, this evening. Give him the night off. Don't want to overdo him too much, but I mean, Chelsea's squad is so big that there could be a few changes potentially here.
I don't think he needs the rest. He hasn't played much. It's not like he's like Haaland playing week in and week out. He needs the football to, they've got some big matches to come ahead of them, and he needs game time. He's been bet in the anytime goal scorer market. It was plus 130 on the Premier League show. He's now plus 107. And when you consider high profile strikers, or goal scorers that he's an out and out, he's a goal scorer, playmaker. You would usually see him around minus sort of 150 at home to Leeds. All due respect to your team, Leeds here. This said to me, it's goals. It's got to be goals. I mean, both seem to score. If you look at, I'd say the Leeds record this season when they play the better teams, they played Arsenal twice, conceded 9. They played Villa once, conceded 2. City once conceded 3. Newcastle once conceded 4. Liverpool once conceded 3. And Chelsea in the reverse fixture, which we say won, but they still concede as well. I think Chelsea will be out for revenge. Liam Rosini has done a brilliant job. 9 matches in charge, 7 wins. The only team that beat him twice is Arsenal, which you can't do much more than that. It's the runaway leaders of the Premier League. Over 3 goals was minus 106. I thought that was an angling. I'm going to check what it is now. But I think there's goals in this one. I mean, from a Leeds perspective, would you? I liked over Chelsea 1.5 goals. That's minus 215. It's really the quick. I think Chelsea will win because Chelsea are scoring goals at home. They're creating opportunities. They're looking good going forward. Defensively, I think that's where they're vulnerable. And I suppose the angle for everybody here is really will Leeds score? And that's the question. And I think that's because they make it competitive. Because if Leeds score, it opens up the Asian handicap. If Leeds score, it opens up the both teams to score. And then Chelsea it opens up the overs as well. But I suppose the best person to answer that is a Leeds fan, isn't it? So I've got one here, luckily enough.
It's tough because part of me thinks that Daniel Farke will use the same game plan he did when he went to Anfield, ground out a 0-0 draw. But then I think you just watched Chelsea West Ham last week, and I think you've got to fancy your chances of getting a goal or two against this Chelsea defence sometimes. They just make lackadaisical mistakes mentally.
The goalkeeper's not shaky as well.
Yeah. I mean, Rossini is very good tactically. So, I mean, one of the big Leeds have given problems to teams since they've gone this 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. Rossini probably will find a way to counteract that. He is very good tactically. But, look, Leeds away from home, they've played all right. Results have been awful. I don't think you can really make a case for Leeds too much. Chelsea will win, I think. And if I had to put a score, I'd be looking at 3-1, I think, Nigel. That's the way I see it going. Well, I hope to be wrong there. But
under Rosenia, they've conceded in their last 5 matches. Conceded against Wolves. They were 3-0 up at the time, so they put their foot off the gas. Arsenal conceded 2 at home to West Ham. Conceded 2 away to Napoli. Conceded 1 against Palace. So they have conceded. And they also conceded against Charlton in the FA Cup as well. So they have conceded a goal in their last 5 matches. And the one they didn't concede against home to Paphos, which you would expect them to win 0. So they do give up opportunities. And that's why I was sort of looking at the over 3. I think with 3 as a push and the way that Leeds concede against the bigger teams in the Premier League, and they were pretty awful. They were awful against Arsenal. I think that's, I think they're going to concede a couple. And I do think that Chelsea will concede as well. So if you look at the both teams to score angle, which is minus 175, the over 3 here at minus 110, probably is your better way to play that both teams to score and hope that Chelsea, that Leeds can contribute to the goals as well.
Quite like over 9.5 corners in this game. Chelsea under Rossini have racked up quite a few corners, but we don't know what they're going to be like if they scored very early in the game. They've often been chasing actually under Rossini. He's had a few good comebacks since he's come into the job. So it would be a different dynamic that way. Lucifer says Chelsea winning over 2.5 goals. That will be a very popular SGP. That is for sure. Both teams to score on over 2.5, says Dave. Where's the money? 92% of the money is on Chelsea. 96% of the tickets on Chelsea. 86% of the money is on the over-under here. So there has been a notable bet of over $1,000 on Leeds money line, actually, at plus 480. That's quite a brave bet, I must say.
What does Mrs. Wiss know that? Does Mrs. Wiss know that? Have you sold her? Have you sold her?
I think Leeds only have one away win.
She'll be selling a few chickens if that gets beat, or selling like one of your Randy Quails.
Yeah, $1,000 on Leeds doesn't really feel particularly appetizing. Only one away win, which was at Wolves, which doesn't really count because Wolves were so bad early in the season. Yeah, tough game. I'm struggling even for player props in the game. Pascal Stroik's going to be ruled out injured for Leeds. Stack is injured for Leeds. Maybe you can look at the centre backs for like shots on target or something like that. It's a difficult one. So look at some more comments. Enzo Fernandez, the score assist, says Giuseppe, he's been in great form, that's for sure. And Father Brian says Chelsea out for revenge. Chelsea to score in both halves plus 115. That doesn't look a bad bet either, I must say. No surprise to see quite a lot of love for Chelsea in the chat. This chat has been very anti-Leeds recently, Nigel. I've noticed that on Betting Weekly Live. But I can't really make a case for Leeds too much this evening. Just a reminder for those who are just coming in or watching on demand, we do have a Betting Weekly bonus bet this week, this month, February fun bet, tennis, soccer, basketball, whatever sport you're following right now. Bet on it with the February fun bet. Betting Weekly and Bet Rivers have teamed up to give you a $10 bonus bet at Bet Rivers. Enter the bonus code BW201. That is BW201. Expires on it February 15th. Must be 21. Eligible players only. Make most of that for February fun bet if you've not already. Let's go into the later Premier League kickoffs. Tottenham-Newcastle. Really interesting game. We had a lot of questions about this earlier on in the chat. There has been quite a significant move, really, on Newcastle United throughout the week. They're as short as plus 120 now. They were even shorter. They were knocking on the plus 110 door here. Spurs are now plus 210. They were bigger earlier. I don't know which way the market's going to go before kickoff, Nigel, in this one. I thought you guys had a great chat on the game. I've got some interesting stats, actually, about Thomas Frank as an underdog and Newcastle as a favourite to come. But the market move on Newcastle was quite big earlier. Now they've drifted back again. Which way is this going to go before kickoff?
Well, I think it's all to do with the injury crisis that Tottenham have defensively. I mean, we know they've got Odogu out. They've got Cristiano Romero now suspended. They've got Porro out. They've got virtually the whole Bergveld, Ben Davis. I mean, the Kudos. These are quality players. I think their injury list is about 12 players now, and virtually all their defence. So that's the reason why there has been a substantial move against them. But there's a few positives for them as well, and the price may have got a little bit too big. I mean, the first positive is Newcastle's road record. I mean, Newcastle in the Premier League, so they've only won 2 matches on the road, out of 12 matches, and you want to bet them here at a fairly low price to beat this Tottenham side. On the flip side to that, Tottenham have only won 4 of the last 26 at home, so that's another one, and they've only won 1 in 9 in the Premier League at home as well. So that is so which one do you want to trust? The other thing I think is a little bit of a positive for Tottenham as well, and I mentioned this on the Premier League Premier League show, and it was on this midweek card essentially, is I think the FA Cup is a distraction. So obviously Newcastle, they're going well in the Champions League, but realistically they can't win the Champions League. They got beat at the Carabao Cup in the semi-final stage where they won the competition last year. Eddie Howe's under pressure, and I think they've got to do well in the FA Cup, and they've got to play Aston Villa in a huge match for both teams at the weekend, whereas Spurs have the luxury of not playing in the FA Cup and have 11 days rest before they play Arsenal in the Premier League. So I think that's a positive for Tottenham here. Would I bet Tottenham? No. Would I bet Newcastle? No. My angle here is goals. Just has to be goals. I mean, I know Newcastle have got injuries, but if you talk about the move for Newcastle, look at the move today for over 2.5 goals. It's gone from like minus 125 to minus 136, I think it was, something minus 140. It's an absolute massive move on goals in this market. And that is because the Tottenham back four is completely gone. They have not got any of their defenders in this match. Newcastle without Gordon, it's a big blow for him. He's probably going to miss this match. I know they've got problems with their strikers. Waltemada and Wissa haven't really been the players that they rate here. But statistically, this match has been a goal fest. And the way they're playing at the moment, 11 of the last 13 in this fixture have seen both teams to score. Yes. 10 out of 11 in this match between these two, the last 11 have seen over 3.5 goals. And 11 out of 12 have seen over 2.5 goals. I just think that this just screams out goals. It's a match that both of them will want to have a go at because they've got that rest period. I know Newcastle have the FA Cup, so that's why I think, but it's in the last Premier League game. Newcastle needs something from what has been a very disappointing season. Eddie Howe is a manager under a bit of pressure. Thomas Frank is a manager under a lot of pressure. We saw that come back from Tottenham in the last game against Manchester City. They were 2-0 down, come back in the second half. Solanke with a brace. Solanke, I like any-time goal scorer here as well. And I just think it's got to be goals. So, I mean, it has been bet, but I couldn't believe, I was very close to putting us up as an official player on the Premier League show. But now looking at the team who's coming out of Tottenham, looking at all the injuries, looking at the state of this match and the history between these two, I just think this has got goals in it by far. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals as my first leg of my daily double here. I do think the price of Tottenham's getting a little bit too big. The fact that Newcastle do play in the FA Cup and they have the rest period. But again, we're not trusting a side that have only 4 wins in 26 matches at home. And I couldn't put my faith in a team that like Newcastle, who have only won 2 of their last 16 road matches in the Premier League. 2 sides, one terrible on the road, one very poor at home. Cancel each other's out, but I think it'd be a high-scoring encounter.
I just wish these two teams weren't playing against each other, Nigel, because I really want to fade both of them right now. It's a real shame. I've got an interesting stat. Thomas Frank, I've always thought Frank prefers being an underdog, and the stats show that up, actually. Spurs have been an underdog 12 times in the Premier League this season so far, and on the main Asian handicap line in those 12 matches, they have covered on 8 occasions, 8 out of 12 occasions as a dog. Newcastle away from home have been incredibly, they've been a favourite 7 times. That surprised me. But they've only won 1 of those games, which was at Burnley. So that's a terrible record away from home as a favourite. In fact, they've lost 4 of those 7 matches, actually lost them outright. Drew at Leeds and Wolves as well. So based on that, Spurs plus a quarter of a goal would be a play. But that just feels horrible, doesn't it, to have to back Tottenham Hotspur at home. So I can't really get involved. Pick your side, guys. Nigel's getting involved in the goal line officially here. First part of the daily double, over 2.5 goals here. Just going through some of the stats. Byron's going Spurs, draw no bets. Giuseppe saying it's far too unpredictable. Regina Code says leaning the draw. Interesting comment about the corners here. Sebla Wong Nucio V3M. Great name. He says Newcastle over 5.5 corners. I've actually got that written down as a lean. The corner line is through the roof here. It's 11.5 with Bet Rivers, one of the highest corner lines you'll ever see. And
Jack was talking about it on the Premier League show. He was saying that the last 5 matches between these two sides is coming at the exact same number, 19. But I do like that. But I do think without Gordon in the Newcastle side, if he doesn't play, which we were led to believe he's not going to play tonight, I think that takes a little bit of the corner threat away because he's very direct and goes at the teams and without any of the Tottenham back 4 here, it might be a fresh look at the way they approach. But everyone wants to be on the corners and everyone wants to be on goals and everyone wants to be on Newcastle. So it's going to be an interesting one. But I do think I would be preferring to swim against the tide on the money line. I quite like Tottenham drawing no bet, Tottenham with the handicap. But on the goals, I agree with it. I agree with the incentive, the market move on the goals over. Yeah.
Well, in terms of match corners, my personal opinion, I wouldn't get involved with the main line over 11.5. If you're going to bet corners, just take Newcastle corners. They averaged by far the most corners in the Premier League this season, 6.75. Only Arsenal average over 6 corners below them. Spurs don't really do corners very often, but they don't concede that many either. So I'm not sure about that one. I think if you're going to take the corners, then do the Newcastle. 58% of the money's on Tottenham for the game, Nigel, but 73% of the tickets are on the Newcastle here. Just 55% of the money on the over, which surprises me, to be honest with you, when you look at the missings on both sides, actually. But yeah, that's the first part of the daily double today, over 2.5 goals. And the second part of the daily double is going to come in West Ham against Manchester United. I'm actually really looking forward to this game. Manchester United are the best team to watch as a neutral right now, I think, in the Premier League. Unbelievably good watch. They're the favourites, minus 143. They've lost their last 3 visits here to the London Stadium, but they're the favourites. West Ham plus 335, the tie plus 325. We've got a really high goal line now, knocking on the door of 3.5. Both teams score yeses minus 205. The odds suggest we could be in for one of those Premier League classics, maybe something daft like a 4-3 either way, which you wouldn't complain at that one, would you, Nigel? Because it's the goals. You've been on the goals right from the word go for this game. And the second part of the Daily Double is the over 2.5 as well.
Yeah, I think let's start with the money line. I mean, there has been a bit of a move for West Ham, actually. There's been a negative towards Manchester United. The early move has been for West Ham. And West Ham are playing well. I mean, they're giving themselves every opportunity to escape this relegation. I think they've been very shrewd in the transfer window, bought some decent players, attack-minded players. But we do know that West Ham are good going forward, but they're very, very poor at the back. They've only lost one in their last 5, which was that crazy match against Chelsea, where they were 2-0 up and cruising and they lose 3-2. That's the sort of process of West Ham at the moment. When you go to the London Stadium, you would sometimes the crowd is so negative that you've got a bit of a start before you go there. It won't be like that tonight. The last 5 matches, they've given the fans some hope. And that's all they want down there, their hope. The Manchester United fans don't have far to travel from Essex to come to the London Stadium. It's only like 2 stops on the train, so they'll be filling that. They'll be all right to get home as well. So I think this is all about. I think this is all about goals. I mean, I was very heavily involved in the over 3. That has been bet off the balls, and there's so many stats to suggest goals in this match. Last 5 West Ham matches, 5 of the last 6 over 2.5 goals, 7 of the last 9 over 2.5 goals. Both teams to score yes has cashed in the 5 of the last 6 and 7 and 9 as well. This season, West Ham at home, 9 of 12 have seen over 2.5 goals in the Premier League. Man United, 10 of 12 on the road. West Ham, the only team in the Premier League this season who haven't kept the clean sheet in 13 matches, so they've conceded in all 13 matches, all 12 matches at home in the Premier League. And Manchester United, the only team on the road who haven't kept the clean sheet as well. So when you put all that into the mix, it's a huge match for West Ham at the bottom of the table. West Ham at the bottom of the table need to get to win. They need to get something. Man United pushing for Champions League and even higher. I mean, the way the table is at the moment, they could put pressure on third, possibly even second. Carrick going back to his former club. The way they're playing under Carrick, the way they're free scoring, the form of Mbuma, the form of Fernandes, the form of Cunha. Sesko suddenly found his goals again when he comes off the bench or when he starts. West Ham have suddenly found a striker in Somerville, scored in 5 successive matches, Somerville, which is, when you think before this, his form was awful. It just looks like goals galore. Bowen flying as well. I mean, it's a massive match. Massive match. Lots of goals. I can see this being a 3-3 thriller or something like that. Obviously, the guy wants to go in to get his haircut, to become the first time they've won 5 successive matches for 2 years. It's going to be a nervy night for him because there's going to be goals thrown in here. And my second leg of the Daily Double here it's a pretty of an obvious play. It's quite a short price, but over 2.5 goals in this one as well, which boosts that Daily Double up. West Ham, Man United over 2.5. Tottenham-Newcastle over 2.5 plus 141. I was even if you want to put a treble, you want to put a party on the third. The over 2.5 goals in the Leeds game as well could go in there quite easy as well. But I think that is the best Daily Double tonight. West Ham v Man United over 2.5. Tottenham-Newcastle over 2.5. If you're looking for props, Somerville over 2.5 shots or over 1.5 shots, depending on the way you want to play, just absolutely change character in the last 4 or 5 matches. Just full of confidence, taking shots pretty much every match, scoring goals with regularity, shows you what a goal can do. There's a feel-good factor about West Ham. There's a feel-good factor about Man United. And I think we're going to have a brilliant matchup tonight with lots of goals.
That is the official Daily Double. West Ham, Man United and Tottenham versus Newcastle. Both games over 2.5 goals. Very straightforward. Plus 141. This would be my best bet of the day, Nigel. As a single, it would be now over 3.25 on the Asian line. And you know what? I think the ladder, for me, will come out over 4.5 and 5.5 as well. I think you could play around with correct score lines, like you said, 3-3 sort of area, 4-3 even Man United, 4-2 Man United. I think we're going to get a really, really good game. And, there's a lot at stake for us here, but there's a lot at stake for someone else as well. As I think it was Mike or Byron who put in the chat about the Manchester United fan who will get a haircut if Manchester United win this game. Frank Eilert is his name. Who's this here? This is...
That's supposed to be me on the back of Frank's hair. That was a picture. I was a young boy when Queen's Park Rangers didn't win 5 matches back in 1987. And but I got a Man United top on first season. But I think that's supposed to be me on that guy's.
That is you with Frank Islet's hair.
It looks like my microphone.
It's an incredible barnet that he's got going right now. This Man United fan.
It could be going.
And he's. I think he said he's going to be donating the hair to charity. I mean,
some weird people in there. I mean, I donated my hair to charity about 22 years ago, and I've asked for it back. Charity's supposed to start at home, and if I could have my hair back, yeah. But then, no, so joking aside, I haven't cut my hair since, and I'm waiting for QPR to win 5 successive matches, and that started in 1998, and they haven't won 5 successive matches. I'm still waiting to get my hair cut. And that's how much it's grown in that period of time. Incredible how he's got his hair grown. I mean, can you imagine growing your hair like that? I mean, it's quite interesting to see how much hair my hair will actually grow. If at 5 matches, it would be very tufty and not very good at all.
I think the barber's on alert because I've got a feeling Man United win this game, but it's minus 150. Not sure I'd be wanting to back that.
Well, the market likes West Ham, and you might get a bigger price come kickoff time. I mean, it's a big match for the manager as well. I mean, he was very, very heavily linked character to be the next West Ham manager many a times, former player there. And I think this is the biggest match for him so far. Obviously, he played Man City in the first game, which was a massive game. But I think now there's talk about Man United. And every time we get talking about Man United, they're back. They suddenly just put in a terrible performance. And that's been this case for many, many years. So it's just to keep that momentum going. And I'm not quite sure. We'll see what happens. But I think this will be a great match to watch and lots of goals.
81% of the money is on Manchester United on the money line, 76% of the tickets. I expected more, actually. I did expect more there. 89% of the money is on the over. There has been nearly a $20,000 play on this game on West Ham plus 1.5 goals at minus 233. So good luck to that particular bet. Or they could lose by 1 goal and you still cash in. Some interesting comments in chat about your hair, Nigel.
Lack of it.
Or lack of it. The mention of Turkey always comes up, doesn't it, when that sort of thing happens? But yeah, good luck whatever you are taking in the Premier League tonight. We're going to move on to some lower league stuff. There is action in the English Championship and also League One. Oxford, Norwich, Leicester against Southampton, Birmingham, West Brom in the Championship. I did actually message Jack Wright before we went on air about his beloved Norwich, and he's actually leaning under for his match today against Oxford. He thinks Norwich might just nick it. Both sides much better defensively of late, so he says. So maybe you're looking at 1-0 to Norwich. He's got to lean on the under. Leicester City, they're in an absolute turmoil, Nigel. Southampton are going to be a popular bet today, aren't they? But they've massively underachieved this season as well. And then a crunch match in the West Country, Birmingham against West Brom. Two sides really don't like each other
West
at all.
West Country's Bristol.
Sorry, the Midlands, not the
West Country.
Yeah, the Black Country. Sorry, the Black Country, as it's known. Minus 137 on Birmingham City, who have found a bit of form of late. You like them here?
Well, I mean, just go back to Leicester. I think it's quite staggering that my local football club is Bromley Football Club. I have a season ticket there last year. They were in the Football League for the first time. And 10 years ago, they were in the Southern League, which is about 9 off the Football League. And there is a distinct possibility because they're top of the league too. There's a distinct possibility next season they could be playing Leicester in league, and that's a team that won the Premier League title. You know, when they were playing in the league, it just shows you how a decline of Leicester has come. But get back to my only bet is, and I bet it this morning. It was minus 110 this morning. I've bet Birmingham to beat West Brom. I'm just going to keep it very simple. Obviously, they're just within touching distance of the playoffs. They're a club that's obviously got a lot of American supporters because of Tom Brady's association. They spent money wisely in the transfer window. They're playing well. They're looking good. My only worry is that they play Leeds in the FA Cup at the weekend, which is a bit of a distraction. But their form is so good. They're unbeaten in 7 matches, 5 wins, 2 draws, and up against the West Brom side who are in complete and utter turmoil. New manager, hasn't won a match. They've lost their last 5 of their last 8. The other 3 were draws. They're in the FA Cup as well at Norwich, so that might cancel that out. But the bigger game, obviously, is a bit of a distraction. They were minus 110. They're now minus 132. I won't bet them at that price, but I do think for parlay bettors, I think Birmingham will beat West Brom tonight. And I think it will be, I think they'll do it by quite a good number. I mean, West Brom got beat 5-0 by Norwich. They got beat 3-0 at Portsmouth for the weekend. They're failing to score. They've failed to score in 3 of their last 4. And Birmingham at home, tough act to beat. And now they've got the playoffs and Wrexham in their sight. That's what they're chasing. And I think they possibly could chase them down very quickly. So that will be my bet tonight. Birmingham to beat West Brom. Not a huge interest at the price, but at minus 110, I did like them.
Yeah, Birmingham, I think they're a big price to beat Leeds at the weekend in that FA Cup match, like you mentioned. Plus 260. Leeds at even money. There's no way I'd back Leeds at evens in the FA Cup. Got a terrible record in the FA Cup. Lot mentioned this Leicester record of conceding a lot of goals. Southampton there will be popular. Goals will be popular in that game. Let's go back to the card in League One. 3 matches as well. And I think Wigan-Reading is the game that you're really interested in. There's been a managerial change recently here, Nigel, right?
Yeah, the manager has been changed. New manager in charge for Wigan, which usually comes with a bit of a bounce back. And I think that's the reason why they're being bet tonight. But I think if you look at Wigan, they haven't won in their last 5. They've only won 1 in their last 8, and that was in the FA Cup against Preston. But their league form is shocking. They're in the relegation zone. They could go down to League 2. I mean, they were FA Cup winners in the Premier League not a few years ago. And they're in the relegation going to League 2, which is an incredible fact for them. Reading are in good run of form. They've only lost 1 in their last 10 matches, or 2 in the last 10 matches, sorry. But they've scored at least 2 goals in their last 4 matches and only won 1. So they've got loads of goals, whereas Wigan haven't got any goals. They don't score many goals. But the reason I wanted to talk about this one is because it's a strategy that I've done for a few years now. And what it is, it's when teams in League 1 or League 2 get drawn with a high-profile FA Cup tie, I think their league form goes on a bit of a back burner. So when Wigan beat Preston in January, the draw was made on the Monday, and they got drawn to go to Arsenal in the FA Cup. So it's the biggest game for some of these Wigan players in their career. A massive day for the town to go to the Premier League leaders, best team in the world right now. What an opportunity for them. Since then, they haven't won a league match. They've lost 4 and drawn 1 and slid to the relegation zone. I think sometimes that's to do with the fact that the players are looking ahead to this big match, and they don't want to get injured. They don't want to put a tackle in. They don't want to get too hurt. They're worrying about what is coming up for the big day for their family, their mum and dad, their kids, to take them to see them play at Emirates. So what I did, I looked last year in the FA Cup at this stage, the 4th round, there was 4 teams from League 1 or League 2 who played Premier League opposition in the FA Cup. And I looked at their match before. Exeter played Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup 4th round. The match before that, they lost 4-1. Crystal Palace played Doncaster. The match before that, Doncaster lost 5-2. Leyton Orient played Man City. The match before that, Leyton Orient lost 3-0 to Stockport. And Wigan played Fulham. And the match before that, they drew 1-1 against Lincoln. So 4 matches where teams the day before or the week before in League 1 or League 2 had a Premier League side in the FA Cup. They didn't win the match prior to that. 3 of them lost, and 3 of these started favourites. I think tonight, Wigan will have one eye on the fact that they're playing Arsenal in the FA Cup. And I think Reading have an outside chance of the playoff, and Wigan will say, let's get our league form back together when we come back here. I think it's a perfect opportunity to play Wigan. A new manager in charge as well. He knows he's got to take his side to the Emirates at the weekend. And I think no player will want to get injured. So the fight for survival might start next week. I've got a feeling that Reading may get a result against Wigan tonight, either on the money line or on the draw no bet. But I think that's a really interesting stat when you look at FA Cup matches and teams in League 1, League 2, when they head to Premier League opposition. They very, very rarely win the match before because all their eyes are on that big, big thing. They're going to be live on national TV. They're going to have back page media. They're going to be new sponsors. They're going to be a buzz around the town. Biggest stadium they played in front of people. And they've got to do it tonight on a wet night at Reading. I think they're vulnerable.
Oh, it's a great angle. You mentioned this before down the years, and I think it makes total sense. And, in addition, I mean, Reading, the better team really right now, aren't they, as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's strange odds on that game. I thought it would be a proper pick'em at least.
I think it's the new manager. I think it's the new manager thing.
Mm.
I think it's the new manager. They got sacked Ryan Lowe. They brought in I can't remember. It's an Irish guy they brought in. He's unproven. He played for Ireland International. I can't remember his name now, but they brought him in. He's unproven, and I think that the market likes a managerial bounce back, but it hasn't factored in the FA Cup match. And to go to Arsenal is like, it's like they'll take 10,000 fans there. There'll probably be people not going to this match, but going to the cup game at the weekend. When teams go away in the Premier League and their League Two sides, they take 10, 15,000 supporters, and they will do that. That's their big game at the weekend. Reading and Cumbria have got a perfect opportunity. I think plus 180 is a big price, and I'll definitely be betting Reading on the draw no bet market as well. I just can't see, and I've done that trend through a couple of years as well. And you don't make money betting teams from League One or League Two the week before they play Premier League opposition in the FA Cup.
I actually think all three away teams in League One look a big price today. Mansfield draw far too many games. Stevenage, I think their ship has kind of sailed, and Barnsley should be doing way better than they are. They've actually got some decent technical players. I wonder what that away treble would pay. But before we go, one more match to discuss. Actually, Coppa Italia quarter-final here, Napoli against Como. Incredibly, in some places, Como are the favourites here, which is remarkable. Just shows you how highly they're rated now. Cesc Fabregas doing an unbelievable job with this team. Last week, they stung a lot of bettors, though. They only drew 0-0 against Atalanta and had an expected goals of over 5. Yeah, that's over 5 goals, and they didn't score a goal. Como have had a whole week to prepare for this game, though, and I think they'll give a good account of themselves here. They drew 0-0 early in the season here, missed another penalty in that particular fixture, beat them last season as well. Napoli did the Como. I'm expecting goals, so I think over 2.25 goals would be the best bet, or both teams score, yes. The cup matches tend to be more open than league matches. We saw in the cup round last week in general Europe, there was a lot of goals floating around. It's the time of the season where you don't really want to be grinding out a 0-0 in a cup. And with the winner facing Inter, I think it is, it's not exactly the biggest dangling carrot, but Como have become one of the most highly rated teams in Europe, actually. Nigel, Fabregas doing a great job there, and 5 expected goals and not scoring. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like that, but I think they can get on the score sheet tonight. Remarkable, they're nearly favourites.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. We would have thought that a couple of years ago. So run the clock on year's time, and Bromley will be favourites against Leicester.
Just shows you what is going on. Anyone else betting in that Italian Cup game? A guy called I says, yes, surely over 2.5 goals here. Napoli have been leaky recently. They have. They've been struggling with the schedule a bit. I think they'll be quite relieved to be out of the Champions League, to be honest with you. Como are good for goals. They're certainly creating chances. Let's have a look at some other comments. Very poor team, Wigan, says Stephen Hall. Brad Betts football. Barnsley have conceded in 30 out of 32 games. I was at a game in person when they kept a clean sheet, Brad, when they beat Luton 5-0. So I feel privileged to have seen a Barnsley clean sheet. Okay, just before we go, reminder again for those who have not used this opportunity yet, the February fun bet with Bet Rivers and Betting Weekly, tennis, soccer, basketball, whatever sport you're following right now, do bet on this with your February fun bet. It's a $10 bonus bet. Enter the code BW201. That is BW201. Offer expires 15th of February. Must be 21. Eligible players only. You can bet on anything you want with this February fun bet. And I know loads of you have been using it so far. A reminder of the daily double as well. Manchester United match against West Ham and Spurs Newcastle over 2.5 goals. Double from Nigel there, plus 141. Hopefully we can hit our second straight daily double of the week. And the guys later on Betting Weekly Live PM at 4 p.m. Eastern Time are going to be going for, I think, 6 out of 7, Nigel. So, yeah, let's hope we can continue this form with a daily double. What's your best bet? If you had to have one bet today, Nigel, you can include that double if you want. What would it be?
I think the double's very strong, but I think the best one is the over 3 goals in the Man United v West Ham game with the push. I think that's a cracking bet, and I'm gonna be going. I know we don't like talking about lower league football in this show because we want the more American bettors, but I think that angle to get with Reading is a brilliant angle, and I think that Wigan are a poor side, and will have their heads turned by the FA Cup and a trip to Arsenal.
I think that's a great angle. It really is. A guy called I says, any tennis tips from you, Nigel? There should be a new show dropping.
There is a new show. I mean, there is a show dropping. I mean, I to be honest with you, I haven't looked at anything. I've let Sean look at it. There's nothing really that we haven't covered. I mean, the WTA show today was just full of shocks, and the order of plays coming out now. I've been looking at the football, so soccer. But if I do anything, it will post something on the Instagram account. Just one thing, if you can subscribe to the Instagram, you've got Instagram, give us a follow on there. I mean, we're trying to build a community on there as well with definite tips. And I think the Hitman's going to go live at half time today as well. So hopefully lots of goals. We're hoping we talk about over 8.5 goals in the two matches at half time. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, I'll put the link in chat. Actually, I know Sean Calvert's been out there in Rotterdam, of all places. I noticed you sent him there this year, Nigel, rather than yourself.
Yeah, no, not. I'm not going to do any. The people of Rotterdam are fantastic, and I love it. But I like watching nice weather and watching tennis outside rather than Rotterdam. This time
it looked cold. It did look cold for Sean out there. He had some interesting sights behind him.
Yeah, he's doing a tour around the Rotterdam's greatest bridges, and to be fair, that's probably one of the best tours that you can do in Rotterdam. So there you go, tours and bridges.
Well, Nigel, it was a pleasure as always. Thank you for your time. And
no worries, mate. Take care. Enjoyed it as well. Hopefully we catch some tickets. Keep the run going, and thanks for everyone enjoying all your comments. Thanks very much for being part of it, and just keep doing what you're doing. Keep hitting the subscribe button. Follow us on the socials as well. The more we can get in, spread the word about it. And spread that daily double. You know, not the daily double, and also spread the fun bet, February fun bet. Share that on your social pages as well, and hopefully we get out to more people and join a bigger community as well. So that'd be great.
Tomorrow, Dan Roebuck is in the host chair with Lewis Jones, and then Lewis stays on Thursday and he's going to join me. So we've got a double dose of Lewis Jones the next 2 days on Betting Weekly Live. Remember the live show later with Doug and Mike. But from me and Nigel, it is goodbye. Remember to bet responsibly, cash those winning tickets. See you next time on Betting Weekly Live. Goodbye.